Hey all, welcome to week 4. As you can see, this is pretty much the last week where we have original texts that are happening, that we're analyzing, that we're looking at. The primary thing that you need to keep in mind this week is that next week is a shortened week. So you don't have the full week to get your final project done. You have until Thursday at 11:59 p.m. to complete that task. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. So just like the beginning of every week, I'm going to give you a brief outline of the content, the things that are happening in the unit. We'll talk about things that you need to keep in mind, like due dates, your project, and how to get a hold of me if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to click on week 4, Romanticism to the Civil War, which should be a pretty interesting thing to study right now. All right, so this unit is the first real literary era. In fact, as you can see throughout the weeks, I'm marking these so-called literary eras by historical markers. This is the first time we can actually classify something as this is an era of literature, which is the Romanticism. So what these authors are doing, they're creating works of art that emphasize emotion, love, nature, and imagination between the years 1820 and 1860. Now, if you remember from last unit, the Enlightenment, where there was a huge focus on things like rational thought and the natural sciences, this is swinging the pendulum back to things that aren't quite as logical and reasonable, embracing these things like the inner self, emotions, and things like that. So these things are going to get instilled in the, this era is still going to be instilled with the ideas of American values like democracy and freedom as well. And it's interesting to see how those things wind up playing out throughout the literature. So you're going to see a huge focus on the American frontier, sweeping romantic landscapes in ways that begin to articulate the individualism of our own current context, because we still live in this era that focuses on a sense of individualism. The Romantics really did shape America in ways that we still see today. It's given us a certain character that will be present for generations and generations to come. And right on the heels of this new form of literature and arts, we get what's arguably the most important thing that's happened in our nation's history, which is obviously the Civil War. So, the years-long feud between the North and the South was primarily grounded in the answer to the slavery question and its far-reaching implications. It became the bloodiest war in history, impacting every aspect of American life. Most scholars don't think it too bold to claim everything in American history led up to the Civil War and everything else was in response to the Civil War. So as you're reading this week, think about the current moment that we're in as a nation, which is wild. There's obviously a lot of animosity towards different groups. And see if you can hear those same cries, those same arguments, and a lot of the conflicts that are echoing throughout the pages of history, especially from this war, which was 160 years ago. So keep all of that in mind and reflect that in your compositions this week. So just like always, your discussion board is pretty much the same thing. You're going to be responding to particular elements of the literary age and era, what you think about it, and how it reconciles with your own beliefs about the particular literary era. Is this the America that you have known and thought of or not? And when it comes to these grades, please make sure that you're looking back at the comments that I'm giving you on your previously submitted assignments, and make sure that you're watching those videos during the midweek checkup where I'm addressing specific things that you can do to improve your compositions. Okay, so just like always, there's a couple more videos this week. I'll be giving you those crash course videos to give you some context about the market revolution, slavery, and the Civil War. Your primary texts this week are really interesting. You've got Resistance to Civil Government by Henry David Thoreau. You'll be reading selected poems by one of my favorites, Emily Dickinson. Same thing with the poems earlier. Click that link and it'll give you some linked poems beneath for you to read. Frederick Douglass, you'll have an intro where you'll learn about him, and then also a few of his selected writings, and then the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln. And just some resources for you about American Romanticism and the Civil War. Okay, so that's everything that's happening this week. Y'all are doing an awesome job, and just the few things that I've read from you lately. So keep up the good work there. What else was I going to tell you? Yes, for your project. So here's some things that I would encourage you to do now. So if you're watching the videos and going along with my recommendations, you already have an author that you're researching. You already have a method of how you're presenting your project, whether that's the essay, the artistic expression, the graphic novel, or the Instagram project. And once again, I say this every week. If you're doing the Instagram project, please, please, please read through the directions carefully. You need to match your author with the particular literary era they're in. Don't just make random posts from screenshots that you grabbed off the internet, okay? Connect that person to the literary era and the historical time period they're in. What ideas, philosophies, religious beliefs can connect them to that era? Prove that to me. Find it in primary text that they have actually said. Connect it to those things, okay? So, and then I would also encourage you this week to make sure that you have a full thesis, that you know what your argument is that you're going to be expounding upon. Check in with me during Google Hangouts if you need me to look through your thesis, your outline. Let me know if you need help there. Make sure that you're looking at all those links that are beneath the directions for the project. They'll help you out with research. They'll help you out with composing a thesis statement if you need a thesis statement, and any other writing help that you may need. If you haven't hung out with me on Google Hangouts yet, look back to that week 1 video, the welcome video, and there will be some directions there. Okay? So hopefully everything is going well. I'll chime in with another video on Thursday, and then that's pretty much it for the videos. Week 5 is pretty much you finishing up your project. And remember, you have until Thursday at 11:59 next week to finish everything out. Okay? All right, y'all are awesome humans, and let me know if you need help.